After finishing Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, they pitched me a movie called Hail Caesar, starring, basically about a fixer, but one of the characters was an idiot actor. I wonder why they called it me. And he gets kidnapped by a bunch of communists. And the only line they pitched was Alden's line of, "This is bad, movie stars everywhere." It just killed me. And then they never wrote the script, and every time I did press, I would say, well, I'm doing a Coen Brothers movie next, called Hail Caesar, and then Joel and Ethan would call me up and say, "Stop saying that, we haven't written it." And then they called like a couple of years ago and said, "Okay, we wrote it, so let's go do it."
Josh? You play a studio executive. What did it make? I mean, it must have been so much fun to play.
It was fun. It's fun to slap people around.
Hey.
Sorry. There was, I remember, I've always spent a lot of time, since No Country, I kind of injected myself into their lives, and I would watch them, even other movies that I wasn't involved with, I watched them edit, because I really enjoy watching them go through their process. It's a very economical, educational process. And I remember asking them when they were doing Llewyn Davis, what movie they were thinking about doing next, just out of curiosity, and they mentioned this movie, and that he would most likely be involved, even though they asked him about it 10 years ago. And I said, cool. Obviously wanting to say, is there a part in there for me? I'd really enjoy working with you again. Maybe you could pay me more next time, because you always pay me nothing. And then I got a call and said, do you want to do this thing? And I figured when they asked me, because they always ask me kind of like you talked about doing Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, and they actually were going to come and see me. They would never come and see me. But they do make the phone call. They do spend that money. And they said, would you be interested in maybe being involved in this movie? So I thought it was for a fairly small part until I read it.
Alden?
It's on. I just auditioned for it and read with the casting director, and then obviously it being the Coens, just really, I love their films and wanted to be a part of it. And then came in and read for them, and they laughed throughout the audition. So then I came back and read for them again, and then they called me, and they said, I got a phone call, and they said, okay, the casting director said, okay, keep your phone on, and I just figured they were gonna call me and say thank you for coming in, and you didn't get it, and so I kept my phone on, and then a whole day went by, and I went, well, maybe they decided not even to do that, and then the next day I got a call from the Coens, and they said, hi, and I said hi, and they said, it's the Coen Brothers, and well, I said individual, and then they said,
They actually talk like that.
yeah, it's us, the Coens.
Hi, we're the Coen Brothers.
And then they said, have you talked to your agents? And I said, no. And they said, so you don't know? And I said, no what? And they said, you got the part. And it was really brilliant, yeah.
Were you excited too, Jonah?
Yeah, of course. They had written me an email together, as it was like one email from both of them actually. And it was so beautifully and hilariously written. It was written in their dialogue, as the Coen Brothers, and they said it's a very, very small part, and I just said yes right away without reading it. I mean, I can't speak for other actors, but I can't imagine an actor who wouldn't die to work with the Coen Brothers.
Johnny?
I said no a bunch for like a little while, and then they just dogged
On
me.
Magic Mike too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Electric Boogaloo.
No, I did the same thing. I got an email from him, and you don't even read the script before you say yes, so you can't even type "I'm in" quick enough. But
we were on tour promoting the movie, and it was funny because we were both trying to very humble brag, subtly brag to each other that we were going to be in a Coen Brothers movie.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I just got a Coen brother email. It's like weird.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, whatever, I think I'm gonna do it. And we both were trying to like brag to each other, but it was the same movie. And then of course Channing's part was like quadruple the size of
I
my
won.
part. So.
But I didn't know that actually. Like we both thought we had like kind of small parts. In the script, it only says Mannix like walks into like a big song and dance, but it's just, and then they dance and he does a knee slide to a bucket. So I thought it was like going to be at the end of like, you know, you might see like an 8th count or something and then a knee slide to a bucket. Because they
wrote me an
generally...
email saying, "Are you interested in playing a bucket?" And I
Yes, man, you should do this. We could do it. I'll get all over
I don't want to brag, but I'm probably going to play the bucket.
And then they slowly like ask like, oh, "Do you know how to tap?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Well, we're thinking about tapping. And do you think you could learn it?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'll try." Can you sing? No, can't do that. Well, can you try? Yeah, I can try. And I was so scared that I was going to screw up this movie, like just because I don't know how to do either of the things they asked me to do. That I'm sure that they're like, "Oh, he can figure it out," and I was terrified of ruining it. But yeah, they can. Auto tune is amazing. Yeah, auto acting is amazing.
I think they're trying to manifest something that they've been trying to, or wanting to do, but it's illegal for a very long time. They've wanted to slap George Clooney for a very long time. But I did it instead.
You did it.
What's your take on that?
Well, I have to say that first I want it out there that Josh has very, very soft hands.
Oh, it's hands.
You really, he slapped me like
Look at that thing.
like Oscar Wilde. Really, he was like, it was so soft. Barely felt it. Really. I have no idea why they do that, but I find that they've done that with all of our characters. I don't think. Well, no, you're a smart one in there, but the rest of us are not particularly the brightest group. You know,
The directors come off really well.
They do. Do you notice that?
Yeah. Everyone else is really dumb.
You notice that?
The director's always kind of sharp.
It's true.
Yeah.
So actresses just stick to acting, or?
Oh, I don't know.
No, I think that the fact that he started to think individually. So even though it comes across as communist, it's actually writers going, wait, if it's our idea, shouldn't we get a residual if they make money? Whereas the studio was telling them, forget the communist part. The studio was saying, we use you for as long as we need to as laborers, and then we go off and make the profit. So he gets together with them, he starts to think individually, and Eddie, speaking for Nick Skanks, says, don't you dare think individually, because we control everything.
And then Betty Davis comes around and screws the whole thing. She told him to all fuck off. The fantasy was to wear the leathered skirt. That was my fantasy. No, I've never really thought of it. When you go back and look at those films, it's hard not to crack a smile through them when you watch, they take it very seriously. But I really fell in love with, having watched all for a long period of time, I really fell in love with Victor Mature's version of all of those kind of films. His hair was always dyed black, and you kind of watch him, and he's been wonderful in films. I actually really a huge fan of Victor Mature, but it did feel like he sort of got cinched up into his outfit and said, "All right," he's got that sort of thick, like Bronx accent, like Harvey Keitel in Last Temptation of Christ, like, Jesus,
How can you forsake me?
Look at this, Jesus. And it just made, like Tony Curtis in Spartacus. I'm your father. And it's sort of, I just love the idea of this guy that just was like, all right, let's go do another one of these. And I thought it would be a very fun thing to do. But the truth is, I think Jonah nailed it. It's not as much about this particular role as it is, I don't know an actor that the Coen brothers would, come to and say, hey, I've got a movie for you to be, and if you want to do it, they would say no. I mean, that's the truth. Somebody else want to start what you're talking about is the idea of what the Academy's doing and the diversity. I think it's a very good idea. I think it's smart to open up the Academy and make it more diverse. I think it's long overdue. I also think that that's just a very end of a long process that needs to be sort of looked at in terms of which studios, what the list of names that the studios will greenlight pictures for, starting with agents, going through writers and directors and everything else. I think that needs to be re-examined for a multitude of reasons and ethnicities. But I do believe that it has, it's going to get a very good look at now, and I think that's always good. I think anytime you open up any part of an industry to diversity, I've never seen it not be good. So I think the answer about working with the Coens and do they change things up?
You pretty much say it exactly like they wrote it. And not because you, just because you can't have a better idea than pretty much what they've already written. It's amazing, right? So
Greater minds have thought it through.
yeah, don't screw that. Just say that.
Did you change anything? Did you change anything?
No, I was just thinking about it. You do change things. You can change things. You just don't want to. Why would you want to? It's all right, they have a tough enough time socially, so they're good writers. We don't want to make them more depressed than they already are.
Alden, how was your experience?
Peace out.
Yeah, it's sort of that. It's just the writing is the way it's written makes it so easy to do that it's in the scene with Rafe, Rafe added a few things, and I think the slap was in, and but for the most part you just stick to it. Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things they do that are really unique. They have a guy named J. Todd Anderson who does all their storyboards and draws them like cartoons as opposed to storyboards, usually sort of very technical things. They draw them like real, he draws, I've used him actually as an actor in a couple of movies, J. Todd. He's a wild character. So every morning when you come to the set, you'll get your sides, which is your lines you're going to read, and then the crew gets it. But on the back, you'll also get your, all of the storyboards with these sort of things drawn up. And the funniest thing is, and I've used it as a director since then because it's so effective, it sort of tells you how they want you to act. It has facial expressions and things, and it also takes away that element as a director for them where they have to sort of negotiate where they want you to go, because you see it in the thing, I'll go over there and I'll make this kind of a face. And so, funnily enough, they have it sort of so mapped out by the time you get there that you're really just trying to fit into what they see, I think.
But I never had that same I never had the feeling, having done 3.5 movies with them, that it never got to the set and they said, you'll be sitting there and you'll be standing ever. No, but it's true though, because it is mapped out, so maybe it's a subliminal thing, a full-blown, Orwellian manipulation that's happening, but you feel totally collaborative. Whereas Woody Allen says, I worked with him twice, and he was like, whatever you want to change, it's up to you. If you want to change the words, make them your own, this and that, and then you get to the set, and then you actually maybe ad-lib something, and he says, yes, but that's not what it says. But you said change, and he goes, oh, I know, and that's great, and you should, but that's not what it says. Whereas Joel and Ethan are more like, if you have an idea that fits better than what they've come up with, and you collaboratively know that because it's so specific, the foundation of what they want. So if you can actually come up with something better, they're all for it. They said that doesn't work. That's why they always ask it, the Coens argue. And they just don't. It's weird. It's bizarre.
You try to get them in fights. They'll
Yeah.
Joel will come over, give you direction, and go, that is so much better than what Ethan just said.
That's not what Ethan said. Here's what it told me not to tell you. You might want to talk to him.
Jordan, when I met you, we got in the car and you said, so which one do you like more?
You're mic'd. And then you just hear it outside the car.
There was one moment in No Country for Old Men where where Llewellyn opens up the cachet with the case with all the money. And I said, you know what, I do think, there's no dialogue for me in the whole freaking movie. I'd like to say something. I'd like to grunt. I like to talk, so can I? And they were like, well, I said, well, what would you do? And I said, well, what about just a grunt, just an acknowledgement whatever that emotion may conjure, whatever noise that emotion may conjure. Well, what would it sound like? Well, how about, Okay, do you have anything else? Well, how about, like, anything else? And then I started thinking, okay, these guys are fucking with me, this is not real. And then every time, they did put one of them in, and then every time we saw the movie in a screening, which was 5 separate times, I always knew where Ethan was sitting because I heard, who knows whether they're ever telling the truth.
Collaborate with Roger.
That's where there's no collaboration.
You know, Roger, I'm thinking, just something to yeah.
You sure you want to put the camera there?
Roger?
The light would look better here, don't you think? I said, here's the great thing about Rogers. When we were doing Sicario in Albuquerque.
That movie was
The boss. So good.
Right, I'll tell Roger you said that. But I saw him jogging, and I was out walking early in the morning, just, I don't know why I was, and I looked over and I saw him. So I was there, Roger was jogging, and he just went like this. He didn't look at me, he didn't acknowledge, I don't know if it was don't speak, I don't know if it was that, don't acknowledge me, I'm jogging. That sums up all you need to know about Roger Deakins.
Yeah, right, too.
He's got great boots. That's another question I have.
Oh, yeah, he does.
There's so much in the movie that you guys probably will never know about. Like, there's stuff that in the boat, like, we weren't actually in the ocean. That was all on the stage, and the Esther Williams tank on the Sony lot, and it was all painted backdrops. You got to see a little bit of jumping in of the in the movie, and then you got to kind of pop out of the movie that's inside of the movie and watch them slide in the stage, with people sitting actually on the stage and all the stage hands running around. There's so much in the movie that I don't even know about because I was only there for mine. And it's just chock full of things because they love movies. It's their dream walk right to a studio lot in the 50s. They probably would have never wanted to wake up.
Jess Gonshore is in there too, production designer, one of the
Yeah. They're so fascinating. It's like you said, almost every film they do has some homage to some. I mean, I remember "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" was a line from Sullivan's Travels, and they sort of used shots that actually the prison, break and shots like that. We were taking with that, and then they take things from The Wizard of Oz with what they did with Ku Klux Klan members instead of, and so they are always referencing films, and I think that's what's really fun about this film in particular is this is one where they just said, okay, let's put them all in, let's put every one of them in. Let's be Berkeley numbers,
Have you guys ever seen Applied Mathematics? It's a very small, I think, movie because even Chris Catelli, the guy that's my tap choreographer, he's like, I don't even know that I know every single tap movie that there is. I've never heard of Applied Mathematics, and it's Donald O'Connor, and it is an amazing. He does this unbelievable tap dance on the bar, swinging over this thing around everything. And they sent me this, and so they know everything about everything, and I think it's really frustrating for people that think they know everything about everything, and they just somehow. Do you
remember seeing that part of your dance routine where you get caught between the two guys?
Yeah.
With Sinatra.
Yeah, it's totally Sinatra. That's not a made up bit. Like that's in the
when you
movie.
get caught between two guys, you see Frank Sinatra like, whoa, whoa,
The same exact thing. I'm blanking on the movie now, but he's walking through like a dance, like a party. And I think he's looking for someone, and these two guys just like back up right up against him, and he's like, "Hey, cut it out!" And
Did they tell you that, or is that something that you found yourself?
No, they sent that.
Oh, they did.
They sent me the actual clip, and everyone on set are just like, "Oh, that's pushing it a little too far, right, guys?" And they're just like, "Nope, it's in the movies. They've done it before," and so it kind of gives us a license to go crazy.
Well, thank you so much, all of you, and thank you for this movie. It's really extraordinary
Fun.
and fun too. Also, thank you.
Thank you guys. Have fun.